Hi there guys, and welcome back to my Train Simulator 2019 video. Today's video for my doing the GWR Remembrance Service from Penzance to London Paddington. Well, I'm taking this as far as from Plymouth to Bristol Temple Meads along the way. And yes, I've already got everything set up for departure, and basically the green light should have been showing, but what can I do, eh? And as you know, we're on like the railways of Devon and Cornwall route from like trainsimdesigns.co.uk. Yes, I have to turn on the driver vigilance device on. And so it looks like I'm about ready for departure. Now we're all ready for a departure from Plymouth with a starting speed limit of 25 miles per hour, and according to the HUD we've got 23 miles to go to our next stop, which is Totnes. I mean, just look at these houses over there next to Plymouth. Can you imagine living next to a railway line around this area? Remembering this time, and the previous time I did that, I forgot about the DSD. One thing you notice as we were departing Plymouth, we departed on the wrong side of the tracks, whereas trains in the UK drive on the left side of the tracks. Kind of like we drive on the right side of the road, in the car. The automatic warning system, which alerts you signals ahead of you, which that was a horn sounding like when you're approaching like a signal that like yellow or red. If that happens, that means the driver will have to cancel it within 2.5 seconds, and if he doesn't, you get like a full brake application. I mean, you should tell that to Pete Waterman when he was on a Pendolino simulator. I mean, he made the same mistake. Speed has gone up to 55 according to the speedo, which is short for speedometer. And if you're wondering what speedo is, you're thinking it's like a pair of swim briefs. And no, I don't mean that kind of speedo. I meant that speedo right there, with the numbers and the dial. I do apologise for a bit of stuttering. By the way, I'm using the 64-bit version of the Train Simulator 2019. I cannot believe there's so many houses near a railway line. Imagine having kids at these houses seeing trains go by. I mean, they'd be amazed at what they saw. And if it's like modern trains or steam trains. Well, steam engines often come on this part of the line on like rail tours. Hey, so far, no no crash dumps or temp dumps. And I know some of you have experienced that when you were on Train Simulator. However, there right here is Plymouth Depot. I have to isolate the DSD as we're about to go out. Like now. Now this here is where all the GWR rolling stock is maintained. Look at that, that's my train. Now there's another HST in full Great Western Railway livery. The other one I'm using is from the first Great Western livery. Now as here, this is like a 4-coach HST that I've got here. You can notice here it's got the sliding doors. I think that's just to enable these trains to operate beyond 2020. Anyway, let's get back to our train. Mind you, if you notice, I kind of like the first Great Western livery right here with the dynamic lines all the way through. Mind you, I've been on the first Great Western HST sets when I was down in Cornwall, from like St Ives to back to Camborne. It's like the first time I've been on the HST since the ones from GNR. If I remember rightly. If I remember correctly, I've been on one from Finsbury Park all the way up to York. Because, well, King's Cross Station was like closed for like, you know, I don't know, engineering work. That was from like the first time I've been down to London. Anyway, we've got the speed coming up to 80 miles per hour soon. And soon after that, we've got this uphill gradient that we need to tackle. Mustn't forget this when you're driving trains with this safety feature. The reason why the 64-bit, reason why there's a 64-bit version of Train Simulator is because, well, throughout the decade, one of the issues with Train Simulator is, well, it's a 32-bit program, which basically means that it was made in the days before there was 64-bit. 32-bit means it's using, like, I don't know, like, about 4 gigabytes of RAM. And what has happened after that is, well, things have apparently moved on, but the game engine itself wasn't, you know, updated to 64-bit. And that's why some people tend to use Train Sim World these days. I mean, I think I better stick with Train Simulator right here. I mean, I have not tried Train Sim World. I prefer this type of Train Simulator. If you're wondering how I got into Train Simulator here, like, well, remember back when I was young, I played on Microsoft Train Simulator. Well, the graphics on there were okay for its time, but I tried other ones like Trains Railway Simulator, and well, then I switched to. Then some years later, I switched to Railworks. So that was before it was changed to Train Simulator, as you see it today. And as you notice here, the gradient is impeding our ability to accelerate. We're currently on the 1 in 42 gradient. I mean, if you were doing this on a steam train, you would have a difficult time getting up there. Well, not unless you have another one to assist, like a double header. Forgot to turn the electric train supply on. Probably do that as soon as we get to Totnes. And also, I want to thank you all for subscribing to my channel. You know, I'm up to like 1,000+ subscribers already. Hard to believe I've come such a long way since I've started YouTube. Started on YouTube. I believe that 7 years ago I started on YouTube. I think I'll check the frame rate to see how we're doing. Oh, coming at 14 frames. Don't worry, the frame rate will lighten up. Oh, that's the Morpeth board for the speed reduction down to 60 miles per hour. If I remember right, the Plymouth is basically part of Devon. Mind you, I'll explain more about Devon as we approach, like, after we've departed from Newton Abbot. Now, if you're wondering how to reset the DSD, you have to press the E key. You know, if you have the Class 43 NTU enhancement pack from Armstrong Powerhouse, but the DSD is basically like this foot panel right here. We have to use that to reset the driver's safety device, because if you don't, then the train brakes will be automatically applied. Now, in the real world, it would be like illegal to disable this safety feature. But it's alright to do this in Train Simulator if you don't want that to go off when watching your train from the exterior view. We're crossing one of the famous viaducts between, like, after one of the viaducts that goes to and from Plymouth. I mean, to be honest, this will never beat the Riverhead Viaduct on the Settlement Carlisle line, or the Glenfinnan Viaduct on the West Highland. You know, you'll pass through. You remember the Glenfinnan Viaduct after you departed Fort William? That's one of the most famous memories of when you're traveling on the steam trains along the West Highland line. Yeah, I've done that. I've already done that last year, where I travelled on like one of the Black Fives, which is called the Lancashire Fusilier. And if I remember right, when we stopped at Glenfinnan station, I've seen the K1 passing by. That was 62005, which that engine was also built for the West. That locomotive was also built for the West Highland. You know, like its predecessors, the K4s. Like, for example, the Great Marquis. I mean, the Ellenyard Mulgars were built for use on the West Highland line. And we've now got 30 miles to go to Totnes. Noticed here that bridge looked quite low, and it seems that I was like crashing through it. I mean, we Brits in the UK have the restricted loading gauge ever, unlike others in like France or America. Mind you, the British track gauge you see here, which is a standard gauge, was adopted in like most of other countries like Spain, France, America, and like China. Although the only thing that varies is the loading gauge. the reason I've sounded my horn is because these guys in these high-vis uniforms, well, they have to wear it when they're working on railway lines, so that the drivers may notice them. Mind you, I remember a video I've seen on YouTube called "You're Live on the Line," where I've seen the guy who got killed at the beginning of the film. And if you're wondering how that happened, well, he was like walking in like the cess, I think he was I think that's like the cess on my left. I think he was walking like the 4-foot way, just like in the middle of the tracks. And he was wearing his high-vis vest, but it was dirty. And he acknowledged the driver's horn a bit late. And one fatal mistake he made was he stepped into the path of another train. And now we're passing Ivy Bridge Station. That's not our stop, actually. Mind you, of all track accidents that occurred, the guy actually stepped away from the path of one train into the path of another. I would advise, if you're working on the railway lines, always find a place of safety. And also, if you're in like tunnels, for instance, always find like a refugee. Like if you remember that level, also if you remember one level in Red Faction 2 where there was that level where a train. One level where you have to avoid the trains, like for example, to create refugees. If we're going around tunnels and then you hear a horn from a train coming past you, it's always best to take cover, otherwise you'll get like BAM! The train will come into you. I remember times doing that. Oh. I mean, come on, it's not often I get hit by an oncoming train. I mean, the only times I've ever seen that was in railway safety videos. You know, we see kids like messing about on railway lines, and one of them ends up getting like killed by an oncoming train, whether it's a high-speed or a commuter train. And then sometimes even when the train approaches the camera, the screen turns black. I think that indicates that the person or kid got hit by a train. I mean, I can't imagine seeing somebody getting hit by a train. Ugh. Imagine how gruesome that is. Ugh. I mean, that's a problem with trains, is they cannot swerve left or right in an emergency. They can only travel in a straight line. Mind you, I guess stopping a train at like the current speed, like 125 miles per hour, will probably take. I mean, I can't be bothered to count how many miles it needs to stop. I mean, if you're traveling at like 125 miles per hour on a high-speed train, and you see like somebody on the railway line, then you think you're gonna know that, because you know at that point in time, it's too late to stop. It's a bad thing that will affect most drivers when they see somebody on the railway line. I mean, to be honest, it's quite scary from the driver's point of view, because if you see somebody getting on the line, there's a possibility they could get hit or killed. So the best advice is to stay safe and do not venture out on the railway lines. And so, anyway, we've got 8 miles to Totnes. Can't imagine people doing train spotting at that car park that we've just passed. I mean, we should have a look at. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, you should have a good time exploring the scenery around here, around southern England. I mean, this will like never beat like the Lake District or the North Yorkshire Moors or Peak Rail. Or the Peak District, I mean. Mind you, to be honest, I've only been to like the Lake District and the North Yorkshire Moors and passed through the Yorkshire Dales. I've never been to the Peak District, which is, if you wonder where the Peak District is, that's in Buxton in Derbyshire. I've only been to Derbyshire a few times, mainly to like Barrow Hill Roundhouse in Chesterfield. I've first been there for that Fab Four gala. I've seen Mallard and Green Arrow right there when we were visiting, along with some other engines I've not seen before, like for example Blue Peter. Not to mention I've also seen Bittern in its Garter Blue livery, like what Mallard is in, and also Tornado and the Great Marquis. I have enjoyed seeing Bittern in the LNER Garter Blue. Especially reminding me of Mallard in the full streamlined condition of the balances. Excuse me. We've now got 4 miles to Totnes. Oh, you're wondering why the speed is going up. That means we're like going downhill without the need to use the throttle. Now we're currently on the 1 in 200 gradient. Normally when it's too steep, even when this gradient is like this steep down, it means that the speed goes up, and we have to control the speed of the train by using the brakes. Like what we see here, the speed is going up, which means we're coasting. It's kind of like coasting. It's almost like doing the same thing in your car. I mean, except I wouldn't recommend coasting when going around tight corners when you're driving. You're driving a car. I mean, to be honest, train driving is a lot different than driving a car. I think I do enjoy driving trains on Train Simulator. Not sure one day I might tackle the real deal. I mean, I always wanted to be a train driver when I was young. I think I remember times when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah, I bet most kids wanted to be astronauts. Although to become an astronaut, you really need training. Mind you, I do know a place where you can. I do know one place where you can do missions up to space, and that's at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's too bad we don't have a launch site in the UK. Mind you, I'm sure if we see like launches of like space vehicles like rockets, for instance, we would have seen it on live telly. Mind you, this part of the route is quite infamous with its gradients, like up and down, up and down. Oh, I hear fire burning. Mind you, I don't have time to investigate that. Oh! Yeah, that's the AWS again. We got look like we're not that far off now to Totnes. Hey, yeah, there's another low bridge right here. I'm not driving like a big vehicle, like a big train, like an Amtrak train from America. If it was, then it would be like crashing through them. It's kind of like, you know, it's like trying to drive a double-decker bus onto a low bridge. It's like that's almost kind of reminds me of that scene from The Mummy Returns. I mean, come on, whose idea was it to have a double-decker bus as part of an escape plan for mummies? I think I better stop braking as we're approaching Totnes. Maybe I don't want to brake too fast. Oh, yeah, we're going down to 25 miles per hour on our approach to Totnes. Yeah, we're not doing too bad. Here we are. First stop for the journey. That's Totnes Station. Gee, I wouldn't park that close to a station platform. To bring this train to a nice smooth stop, so I don't jolt the passengers. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad on the approaches to stations. Mind you, it does help with the signals being yellow and red. Because if I was a train driver in real life, I wouldn't even know which stations I'm supposed to stop at. I think that's about it for Totnes. Here we are. Let's download some of the passengers off. Okay, now that we're departing Totnes, we've now got 8 miles to go to our next stop, which is Newton Abbot. And yes, we're still restricted to 25 miles per hour. The speed will gradually go up to 60 miles per hour. Hey, you can see there's a digger right over there. Oh yeah. Just making sure the DSD is active. Oh. Speaking of which. There's a nice river, which I don't know what it is, but there's a bridge right here that you can walk along. It's ideal to see the trains go by. And that walkway, and also the tracks right here. And that there to my left is the South Devon Steam Railway. You see it by the line that connects from the main line to the Heritage Line itself. That's the station I remember going when I was on that. When I was there. And I've been on that Penya tank locomotive, which was 6412. Even when I was on there, I also saw other locomotives there, including like the Great Western Hall locomotive Dumbarton Hall. You know, it's a sister engine to the famous Alton Hall. Well, you know Alton Hall from the famous Alton Hall from the Harry Potter films as the Hogwarts Express, which I did last year on Train Simulator. I started from King's Cross, where I started my journey from platform 9 3/4. Departed bang on 11 o'clock. And also like Buckfastleigh Station, there's also like a little railway museum over there, which I would recommend that you visit. And not to mention that it's completely free of charge to get in. It's kind of like the National Railway Museum up at York. See, that's the HST that I remember seeing on my Remembrance Day event last year, and my HST lineup reenactment. I think I remember seeing that when I was down in Devon, when it was at Newton Abbot. What's happened here? Oh, thank goodness, I thought it was going to be a crash dump or a temp dump. Let's turn the DSD back on. That's one of the good things about the 64-bit version of Train Simulator. You don't get crash or temp dumps, or you don't get like out of memory errors. Don't know if you. Actually, I don't know of any case where somebody's got like an out of memory error on Train Simulator 2019 in 64-bit. The beautiful scenery along the way, eh? It's still one of the unique things about southern England. Surprised why there's not an overspeed alarm with the automatic train protection on. Still, by the way, I'm using the Class 43 MTU enhancement pack for this reskin, as well as the whole train itself. I really do apologise for the low stuttering and frame rates as we go along. You can see some pylons over there with these wires that conduct electricity. Mind you, I would not recommend climbing on them, because we saw what happened on the safety videos about electricity. Where imagine if if a kite. Imagine if a kite got trapped in on wires and then somebody decides to climb up to retrieve it, but the next thing you know is. Actually, I think the best advice is to leave them alone. Or see if you can. I don't know if you can get a professional to turn the power off to retrieve the kite. Mind you, kites don't have electricity when the whole power is turned off. Actually, there are some cases where I remember some safety videos where about electricity where imagine if kids were playing football near a power station, then their ball goes through into the like a power station, and then they go in to retrieve it, or if a frisbee gets thrown along, and then they didn't know that their objects have been on contact with components that are powering and conducting electricity. Like if they touch them, they're like that'd be the last thing they do. Again, we've got these tough gradients to handle. It's not me doing the brakes, it's a gradient that's slowing us down. Anyway, we'll soon be at Newton Abbot. Hey, you can see a trampoline over there. Oh, it's a shame that. Hey, there's a little bridge again. I mean, imagine there were some kids on the trampoline and they watched the train go by. I mean, that would stop them from bouncing. Anyway, bouncing's a good way to burn off some energy, you know. Surprised where there's some little bridges along this route. And now we've got the downhill gradient coming up shortly. You know, as we go through this tunnel. I believe I'm working this train very hard. Oh, I forgot about the electric train supply again. Probably do that again. Probably do that as soon as we reach Newton Abbot. I think the throttle will not be needed for this time being since we're going downhill. That means the speed is accelerating when we're going downhill, and we need to control the speeds to keep us at that recommended speed limit. Because I mean, I really don't want a runaway train in this scenario. Hey, you can see some caravans over there, and I think I see some motorhomes, but I can't see it because the trees are in the way. This is sometimes I get when I'm approaching a railway line that goes towards Haxby. Mind you, sometimes when I'm out and about, I do see motorhomes. That can be ideal if you're going around like the home countries like the UK or in America. Mind you, my dad always says he wants a motorhome. Maybe he should go to America and rent out them Winnebagos. Mind you, I don't know how to drive a motorhome. I mean, I know how to drive cars. I mean, how difficult could it be? You're driving a motorhome. Oh, I've got the speed back up to 60 miles per hour now. Oh. There we go, not that far from Newton Abbot. It's one of the major stations along the Riviera line, which we'll soon be joining. And on the line to my right, there is that line over on my right here is the line. It's basically that's the line that goes down to like Torquay and Paignton. And Paignton's also the starting point for the Dartmouth Steam Railway, which goes down to Kingswear. I thought I'll let the train coast until we get to Newton Abbot, where I'm going to take full control of the brakes. A bit of light braking until we get to about 30 miles per hour, which is where that's a recommended speed limit for approaching mainline stations. There it is, over there, Newton Abbot. I think that's where I saw this locomotive, this HST, you know, the Harry Patch one. The only train rides I've ever done when I was in Devon was on the Sprinter units. I mean, I was meant to go on like the HSTs or the Class 8 on the new Class 800s. I've always got stuck with the Sprinter units. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good, but sometimes they can get boring if you do them again and again. Now at platform 3 at Newton Abbot. Kind of reminds me of platform 3 at York Station, up north. We're currently in Devon, which is down south of England. I think this should be roughly about the right stopping place. Look at that guy with his back towards me, not knowing there's a train stopping behind him. I think that's roughly the right stopping place. Now, give some time to unload the passengers off. Okay, now we've loaded and unloaded the passengers. We've got like 20 miles now to our next stop. What I'm trying to say is we've got like 20 miles to our next stop, which is Exeter St. David's, which is where we're going to conclude this first part, and we will continue on our journey up to Bristol Temple Meads in the second part, which we will be on the Just Trains Bristol to Exeter route. you can see on my left here is like a race course, you know, for horses. I mean, we've got something like that at Knavesmire at York, where we sometimes see the horses racing. Although the problem with me is you know, with bettings on them. I mean, the problem with with me is I always bet on wrong horses. I mean, I never get to win any of the bettings. Maybe you know something now that I think about it, since I can't win my money on horse races, I think I'm better off winning cash money. You know what I'm trying to say is, I think I'm better off winning money at bingo. Anyway, one of the unique things about the Riviera line is it's like the Dawlish coast. We will see in a few moments. It's one of the unique things about Devon. It's always an ideal place for holiday makers. You know, as they want to break from like foreign holidays, or they want to explore the. There it is. Although we're not quite there yet at Dawlish. The problem with this route is there's various speed limits along the way. Mind you, this train is capable of speeds up to 125 miles per hour, which unfortunately we won't be able to do that along this journey. Oops, I nearly got the wrong key. Look at that. That'd be unique for people sailing on boats. Just seeing a train go by. I don't think I've ever been out sailing. Mind you, I'm not usually keen on boats. Oh, we got the reduction in speed. Speed's down to 80 and then to 60. That's why I'm prepared to put the throttle in idle so I can let the train coast. Anyway, the automatic train protection has warned me about the upcoming speed restriction, as well as the Morpeth border and all the AWS. Wow, just look at all these boats. I don't think I would fancy hiring one of them. Imagine me going out at sea on my own. That'd be reenacting. We'd be like reenacting that episode in the In-Betweeners when they went down to Swanage. Oh, it's quite funny when they got the fish on the life. The boat that Will hired. I mean, not to mention Neil just punched the fish to death. I mean, this proves that Neil is kind of bad with animals. Like, for example, in the In-Betweeners 2, where when they were in the water park, where he wanted to swim with dolphins, but he only fed it like a burger and some chicken. I think one of those things that must have killed them. To kill the dolphin, or I think the chicken might have done that. despite the fact that they only eat fish. Anyway, we'll soon be passing through Teignmouth Station, which is what I've also seen when I was down there. I think I prefer Devon to Cornwall. I have nothing against it, but Cornwall's been quite boring for me. Not to mention the fact I've done some train rides around there. Like, for example, I've also been on these HSTs down to from St Ives to back to Camborne. That was the first time I've done them since I've been on one of them with GWR when they were in charge of the franchise. Hey, that's the Dawlish coast. There's a walkway where you can watch trains go by, and it's also ideal for like for people who are watching steam. Sometimes people go on this walkway and they see steam engines coming by on this route on rail tours. I think the waves are not quite strong enough to get us. Anyway, in a few moments now we'll be passing through Dawlish Station. Look at these red rocks right here. These red rocks kind of reminds me of the red rock I remember seeing when I was over in America, on the west side. I think it was somewhere around Las Vegas, or the Grand Canyon. Mind you, I have enjoyed the west coast of America. I'd love to do that again. And like I said, we'll soon be passing through Dawlish Station. Anyway, that's Dawlish passed over, and we'll soon be passing through Dawlish Warren. It's another station I remember going to. Now, this is where I've been around here on the Sprinter units. Up and down. Been down to Paynton and up to like Exeter, St David's, then Central. I think in late 2013, early 2014, part of this line got like swept away by those severe storms, that we had with the severe bad weather, with strong winds. This is Dawlish Warren over there, and that over there is like some amusements. For example, if I remember rightly, there was a go-kart track over there as well as some amusements. And look at that here. There's like it's almost like a caravan park or a lodge park or somewhere. I think those are lodges. But a shame these things don't have hot tubs, like the one we've had. I think I prefer to using I prefer the hot tubs up in the Lake District, really. I tried like the hot tub of the swimming pool at the holiday park we stayed in. Hey, look at that ship over there. It looked like it has half sunk. And to think, oh dear, and to think that people on that boat would be reenacting the Titanic. I don't know what the people on the boat will think when they see this train go by. Mind you, I wouldn't fancy going out sailing out in the open water. As we'd be reenacting that scene in Jaws 2. So I say we'd be reenacting Jaws 2. That features bit where the kids go sailing. If only I want to avoid getting eaten by a shark. Come on, I suppose most of you have heard of Jaws. Anyway, we'll soon be passing through Starcross Station. Oh yeah, Starcross Station is where you can get the ferry to like Exeter Central, I think. Anyway, now restricted to 75 miles per hour. Anyway, the swept away line was so catastrophic for people living in southern England. And not to mention the train services to like Paddington and Plymouth had to be like cancelled until it was fully repaired. We've now got 7 miles to Exeter St. David's, which is where we're going to conclude this part, before moving on to part 2, which is where we're going to resume our journey up to Bristol Temple Meads. People are wondering why aren't there any trains along this route. I didn't have time to put them in, unfortunately. I was going to put in like the sprinter units, but I don't know what timetables they run on. I mean, I should have picked them up when I was down in Devon. Mind you, Devon wasn't actually my first choice for another holiday. I mean, my original plan was to go abroad to Menorca, but I wasn't able to because of what was happening with my Auntie Suzanne. I mean, I'll explain more about that when I resume my Let's Play of Doom 64. I think. Anyway, I'm not giving up on my planned holiday to Menorca. I mean, I've already done Ibiza last year, and Mallorca years ago. Well, I mean, Menorca is like the third of the Balearic Islands. I think that's what you call them. I mean, I've already done the Lanzarote, which is like... Well, Lanzarote is part of the Canary Islands. And I've not done like Gran Canaria and Tenerife. Even I didn't know the Canary Islands were also part of Spain. The only reason I'm sounding the horn is because of them whistle borders. I think you can only do that until like 11. Oh yeah, you can't use the horn between like the hours of 11 p.m. As I was saying, you can't really use the horn between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Because otherwise, if you do that, then you interrupt the people's beauty sleep. I mean, you should try telling that to like Caitlin in that episode of Thomas and Friends. I mean, she sounded her whistle all the way through the night, waking everybody up from their slumbers. Not to mention the fat controller wasn't happy. Sir Topham Hatt. I mean, I remember Thomas and Friends years ago, and I don't think I've ever watched it since. We've got 3 miles now to Exeter St. David's. Oh, we've got the speed down to 75 now, and we'll soon be passing Marsh Barton Station. I think that's another station I remember passing before stopping it. And after that, there's Exeter St. Thomas coming up. That's our final station to pass before approaching Exeter St. David's. Means I need to use the brakes in order to slow down for our stop. God, it's hard to believe it's morning and the moon's still there. Not to mention that the moon looks quite full. Remember, beware the moon. I mean, what do you think this is? An American Werewolf in London? That's a classic horror film, that. Something I would recommend watching if you find it on DVD and Blu-ray. As I mentioned, it's like it's full of comedy and some sad moments. That's one of the things that makes a horror film a classic. This is Exeter St. Thomas. But we're not stopping there. Our stop for this part is Exeter St. David's. I mean, I wouldn't imagine living in southern England. I mean, York is my primary home, which is up north. I mean, I grew up there. I really do apologise for the frame rate though. But I think it'll be smooth when we go on the Bristol to Exeter route. The Bristol to Exeter route from Just Trains. Oh, boy, am I tired. Anyway, these yellow signals do help me on my approach to where I need to be. Yeah, I can see Exeter St. David's now. Means I'm prepared to use the brakes. Oh, I need to put it in like a forceful way because I feel like I'm not going to stop there in time. This is it. This is Exeter St. David's. I think somewhere around here you can get another train to like Exeter Central. I mean, mind you, I really don't know my way around this station. Gee, that guy looked like he was about to go off the platform. I don't know what these people are doing anyway. But they're out of my jurisdiction. We need to find the right stopping point along this station. Anyway, should be right about here, I believe. Oh, what a journey this is on this path. Anyway, this concludes part 1 of this Remembrance Service. And we will now see you next time as we continue on this journey on part 2. Which we will continue on to our next stop, which is basically like Taunton and Bristol Temple Meads.